Hi guys, welcome back to SNL. It's a weekly podcast with my husband and I. The S standing for Sean, that's my husband, and the L standing for myself. And basically we just figured we chat a lot about books. I know a lot of you guys like books, and we figured may as well just kind of include you in our conversations by having our conversations be on a podcast.
And today we're talking about adaptations from books to other media.
Yeah, so not just books to movies, but books to video games or books to TV shows. And we each made our own list of adaptations that we figured we kind of want to chat about, but we didn't tell the other person the adaptations that we wrote down. And it's kind of a mix of garbage adaptations and awesome adaptations, or at least in our humble opinions. Some of them other people love and I don't like so much, so we'll see.
So I'll just start with one that I think is bad.
Oh, okay. Okay, that sounds good. We don't have to have necessarily read the source material in order to have it on our lists. So for instance, I'm just going to, before you even mention what you think is bad, I'm just going to kind of clarify. Like, he's read Game of Thrones. I haven't read Game of Thrones, but it might be on one of our lists, or both of our lists, possibly. So we don't have to have read the source material. And I just want to kind of get that out there because I know for a lot of people, if I say, I think the Game of Thrones adaptation's amazing, and somebody's like, girl, you don't even know. You haven't even read the books. So I just want to get out there that some of these...
It sounds like a confessional. You're just confessing you haven't read Game of Thrones.
That's true. I actually haven't read a lot of the ones on my... Almost all of them,
Have
actually.
I read anything?
We'll for sure have read. I feel like...
Something. Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, what was the bad one that you were going to...
I accidentally deleted my list just now.
Oh, no. No, that stinks.
I know. I'll remember. So the bad one...
Yeah.
Was Aragon.
Oh, I had that too.
Okay.
I put a dash next to mine, so I have like dash... Grr, if it was something I didn't like, or like dash question mark, because I don't really know how I feel about it. Aragon, I just put dash bad. So I didn't even clarify how much I disliked it or did it, Anyway, that was definitely on my list.
Also, list update, I didn't delete it.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
Aragon was a good book, I thought.
It was a good book. It's
been
as
a youngster.
Long time since I've read it.
I did not care for the movie. I saw it once in theaters. I was a disappointed 12 or 13-year-old, however old I was.
And Noah, didn't you and Noah see it or something?
We did, yeah.
Yeah. Noah also, because wasn't he really upset? I feel like as adults, we've talked. Our friend Noah, who my husband's been friends with since he was a kid, we're still friends with him. And I think even as adults, there was one time we were driving somewhere and Noah's in the backseat. He's like, oh, it was garbage. And he was like so upset. And he was like ranting about it for a really long time.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And clearly there was no sequel, so we're not the only ones who...
Okay, so I remember seeing it when I was younger, and maybe I just didn't have super high expectations for adaptations back in the day. Little rhyming there. Unintentional. Anyway, I feel like I saw the movie and I was like, oh, okay, that wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen. I thought it was like okay, but what didn't make sense to me was it's been a really long time since I've read Aragon, but his cousin is kind of important in the series, right? Is his cousin, I think? And his cousin has a relationship with the butcher's daughter or something like that. And isn't in the second book he actually has his own point of view, right? Is this ringing any bells?
It's been a long time since I've read them. All I remember is in the second one, he meditates on ants.
Okay.
And that was really exciting.
He does, not his cousin.
Yeah, Aragon does.
Yeah. Yeah. Isn't he like, oh, the elven girl doesn't like me. I'll just stare at the ants or something. It's just like...
Yeah, that or like a training session or something.
Yeah. Well, I thought his cousin was also a point of view.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And something happens. They kidnap his betrothed. Didn't they kidnap her? Or something happened to her, and that's part of what propelled his plot line. Like, it was really significant, I thought, in the second one. I don't know. That was like 10 years ago or more. It was more than that, but I just remember thinking, wait, they didn't even talk about that in the first one, so how are they going to make the second one? And clearly, I guess
no intention.
Yeah, or it flopped, and they're like, whoops. Or they read only the first one. I feel like they didn't read the source material. It was just kind of like, oh, people seem to like fantasy right now, and then, because okay, I'll just bring up one that I know we both want to talk about, which is Lord of the Rings. But did Aragon come out? What was the time in which Aragon, in relation to Lord of the Rings?
I would say within a couple years. I feel like there was a fantasy movie thing going on.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
Because people were like, oh, I guess these can be good. After
yeah,
Lord
it was kind of like a
Rings.
fad. So, Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring came out in 2001.
Okay.
That makes me feel old. Aragon came out in 2006.
Okay.
So
the Lord of the Rings movies, when did the last...
like, Return of the King?
Yeah. Because I'm curious how close those two were.
2003.
Oh, wow.
They
Those
really
came
got
out
those
really
out,
back
yeah.
to... Well, didn't they record a lot of it all at once?
Yeah, but good for them. I feel like nowadays it takes, like...
A really long time for
time.
stuff.
Yeah.
It takes that long to get out a season of Game of Thrones.
Or sometimes longer.
Or sometimes longer. Well, the books especially, but we won't go there. Anyway, so I think Aragon was just kind of a product of, hey, everybody's on the fantasy hype train, and it seems to make money, and then they put it out, and they didn't even try. I felt like they didn't even try to set up the sequel.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that's not true. Now it's coming back to me. I remember the end of the first Aragon movie. The first okay, there weren't any others. But in that movie, at the very end, they totally had a cliffhanger. I remember something, maybe I'm totally wrong. I could have swore there's a cliffhanger at the end. Somebody will know.
I don't remember, to be honest. I pretty much...
It's been too long.
Deleted it from my mind. I would rather rewatch Dragon Wars.
Dragon Wars is amazing.
If you have not watched Dragon Wars...
Isn't that the one where the guy gets shot at one point and he like collapses?
He flies away?
Is that what happened? I thought there was a scene where somebody shoots him, which is kind of ironic if there's dragons. Why are humans being why are they shooting each other? But I thought there was a scene where a guy gets shot and he collapses, and then when the danger's gone, they run up to him and they're like, oh my gosh, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm good. And he just gets up and runs off or something.
That sounds about right. I remember the sensei character gets shot and looks around and then literally takes off like flies, and that is not addressed for the rest of the movie, the fact that he can fly. I also think that was like when we first started, before we were dating, I think somehow Dragon Wars came up, probably me.
That's
and
true, I
was
remember.
Like, what? Someone else has seen Dragon Wars
I
besides
think that's
me?
how you knew I was the one.
Yeah.
You were like, it wasn't even a matter of, oh, I love her, or she's so nice, or...
She's seen Dragon Wars.
She's seen Dragon Wars. I think you called your family. I found the one. Anyway, so getting back to the fact that a bunch of movies came out around when Lord of the Rings came out, another one on my list, and I just put question marks by it because I don't know how I feel about it, were the Narnia movies.
When you said neutral, that was like the first thing that came to my mind.
I guess this is why I'm kind of neutral. So I don't think they were bad movies, but I think they were kid movies. So, in a way, I don't love most kid movies because they're not made for me. They're made for kids. And I feel like those movies were made for kids. But at the same time, with Prince Caspian at least... Well, no, I think in the first one, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, they kind of also tried to pull in the epicness. And they tried to have battles and stuff, but they had to keep it very PG. So then it was kind of a weird... I don't know how I feel about them. I would watch if they were on. If my nieces were around and they wanted to watch it, I wouldn't be like, ugh, jeez, I don't want to watch this.
Yes, I've given this some thought.
Okay.
So, I agree. They came out kind of on that fantasy wave of Lord of the Rings, and They are kiddie, but at the same time, I agree. Like, they tried with the battles to make them, like, more battle-y than maybe they are. And they couldn't... It's like, if you're going to make them battles, you gotta make them a little bit more violent. But at the same time, they were for kids. But I don't think the movies ever matched the tone of the books. Like, at all.
Really? How do you mean? What do you think the tone of the...
Well, I picked one up, like, not yesterday, but I feel like a few months ago I picked one up just for funsies. And I'm not, like, blown away by the stories, necessarily, but C.S. Lewis is a good writer. I like his actual writing, and I don't know.
Yeah, it's also very... It's very religiously symbolic.
Right.
And obviously the movies are too. In case you couldn't tell, the lion is God.
Oh.
I don't know if you
I'll
caught
have to
that.
reread these now.
I never knew.
I don't know. I felt like it was an odd. How they went about it was strange. It didn't seem to have as much heart as it should have. Oddly, like they were all about trying to be special effects, keep up with Lord of the Rings in a way. Like, I have to keep people's attention with like these battle scenes, but there just wasn't a whole lot of heart from them. Maybe I thought about it too much. I don't know.
Well, because we keep relating things to Lord of the Rings, we should actually talk about Lord of the Rings.
Which has a ton of heart. I cried during Lord of the Rings.
Did you? No, you
Yeah.
didn't. Did
No,
you really?
when Sam says he's gonna carry Frodo, like, get some tissues.
Some people say Sam's the real hero.
I have heard that. I don't know if it's been confirmed though.
We have a story behind that. It's kind of an inside joke. So, the Lord of the Rings movies are amazing. I just want to get that out there. We agree.
But you didn't cry, did you?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I have no heart, I guess. But freaking, you show me things make me tear up that don't make normal people tear up. Literally, people performing amazing feats, that makes me tear. Like when we went to go see the Cirque Nutcracker show, and there's acrobats, and I was getting teary-eyed. Or like the jugglers. This doesn't even make sense. It's not even set. I just get so filled with emotion because it's so amazing. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So
I was kind of with you until I heard the jugglers, and I think that's
the
more
aerial
fun.
silks is so beautiful. I don't know what... I'm going to get back on track.
Yeah, I like the direction this is going.
Okay, so now I have to go back, though, to the inside joke.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Some people... So, Lord of the Rings is amazing, but I always couldn't stand Frodo. I'm sure I'm not the only one that was like, oh, Frodo's such a baby. Like, I just wanted him to be, like, a teensy bit tougher. And I liked Sam, and we were having this discussion, and a mutual friend... I was saying how I thought Sam was by far, he should be, all the other characters were like, Frodo did it, I'm like, Frodo didn't freaking do it, Sam did it, and I was just kind of going off on this rant, as I want to do, and our mutual friend came in and was like, some people actually say that Sam is the real hero of the story, and I was just like, okay. Because in my head, I just kind of looked at Sean and I was like, that's what I'm saying. That's what I've been saying. Anyway, so that's kind of a quote. Anytime we talk about Lord of the Rings, I don't know if you know this, but, some people say Sam's the real hero. But anyway, Lord of the Rings is great.
It is great. Beautifully adapted.
It's got humor. It's got a good amount of humor. But it's also got Sean Bean dying, which is a staple for anything Sean Bean's in.
Whoa, spoilers. Just kidding.
Okay, well.
If you haven't seen Lord of the Rings, then stop listening.
Yeah, we're sorry.
Go watch it.
Well, you didn't care last time when you were spoiling things.
Yeah, I know. I'm being a hypocrite.
No.
As a joke.
Anyway, so Lord of the Rings is amazing. They had a great balance of a lot of things. I really appreciated, too, that they didn't rely just on special effects for everything. They actually had real people as the orcs, and they just put them in awesome makeup, and it looked really good. But I know you hated The Hobbit.
Oh, yes. I was just about to be like, yeah, those orcs hold up well. What doesn't hold up well is the stupid orcs and goblins in The Hobbit, which are, I don't know. They just decided this great makeup we used earlier, let's toss out the window. Oh, it's all coming back to me. The CGI white orc is just like the worst thing I've seen. Also, splitting up one book into a trilogy is so unnecessary.
So would you say you consider this on your bad list of adaptations?
It is, and like I don't think it needed to be adapted. Like The Hobbit's tone is closer to Narnia than Lord of the Rings, and just like the book. Like The Hobbit's a kind of a kid's book, and then they thought, I mean, if they had made The Hobbit like more like Lord of the Rings, the movies, but just one of them, and not with awful CGI, that's a lot of ifs. That would have been fine. But splitting it into a trilogy with awful CGI.
Now, question.
Yes.
I think it was a really important question.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ever see The Hobbit,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I need to know, as you have seen both of the things that I'm going to mention, are the CGI orcs in The Hobbit better or worse than the CGI rhinos in Black Panther?
Probably better.
They're better than the rhinos.
The rhinos are pretty bad.
They're so bad.
Yeah.
They really bummed me out. Because, okay, I put Black Panther and Wonder Woman on my list of adaptations to chat about. Because a lot of people really love those movies. And there's a lot of political, or like socially, there's a lot of social things around those movies that I think have made them really significant to a lot of people. And I don't want to get into that as far as how they are as adaptations. I thought they were good movies. I thought they were entertaining movies. I think as superhero movies go, I liked them. But the CGI rhinos, like I remember watching Black Panther and being like, I'm like liking this movie. And then I got to the CGI rhino and I was like, I am upset at this movie. I just thought it was like because why when they have so much amazing technology, do they need an army of rhinos? Like why did they, well, not even an army, but just why did they need to ride the rhinos? I didn't understand.
Or just get a real rhino for that first scene where it's just like hanging out in the pen. Yeah. That could just be a real rhino.
That one, yes, I agree. So I remember thinking too, is there something special about these rhinos? Right? Because why didn't they just, like, did they not, Marvel capped out on their budget and they're like, oh shoot, we forgot to leave some room for rhinos. And then they just kind of told their special effects guys,
make it work.
Yeah, we're already paying you a lot. This is part of your salary.
So this is interesting. So I'm thinking about this. I dare say the wargs in the Two Towers back in, now we know, like 2002, giant make-believe wolves looked better than rhinos in 2018.
Maybe people just figured, people are going to like this movie. Don't worry about it. And then...
I mean, maybe they're just, budgeting. It worked out and made a lot of money.
It did make them... Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anyone else complain about the rhinos. Now, I do want to say, I enjoyed the movie overall. It didn't ruin the movie for me. It just ruined the battle scene was cool, and they're like the rhinos, basically.
Yeah, but I think you were kind of bringing this up too. Why even rhinos? Right? I mean, Wakanda has like this amazing technology. It's not like the tanks are coming.
I just wish they had
the hovercrafts.
Yeah. I just wish they hadn't. I would have been down for some kind of rhino robot hybrid type thing, right? Like it's not really it doesn't exist in our own world. It's it looks like a rhino, but it's also way bigger, or it's got, I don't know, something that makes it not supposedly a regular. Maybe it is. Maybe I just missed that. Maybe they're not supposed to be regular rhinos.
They looked like poorly done rhinos.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned wolves a second ago, so now I want to talk about Game of Thrones. Because they have all the dire wolves? Is that what they're called? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which sometimes I feel like I'd be watching... Well, the dragons too. I think when Game of Thrones was first starting and their budget was smaller, the dragons... It's a good thing the dragons were small because the CGI for them was just meh. Like, not the greatest. But every time like they had a wolf, one of their wolves would come in, and I'd be like, ugh. Like the scene would annoy me.
Yeah, the wolves are kind of weird because I think sometimes in some scenes they use real dogs.
Right.
And then when it had to like attack something, all of a sudden it's like it's clearly CGI. And like, oh.
Or don't they get way bigger?
Yeah.
When they have to be way bigger, they're CGI or something too. Because I mean, you can train a dog. If they can train the freaking bear in the scene with Brienne.
But at least they used a bear. That's what I'm saying, Marvel. Just get a rhino.
And that's what I'm saying about the wolves.
Yeah.
Just get anytime you need that you can train the dogs to fake attack. If you can train a freaking grizzly bear, which I love that grizzly bear. I think it's funny that I already knew from having my dad loves grizzly bears, so I've seen a movie called The Bear in which the guy that trained the bear in the scene of Game of Thrones, that guy used to have a bear called Bart the Bear, and there's a whole movie called The Bear, and it's a kid's movie where it follows around this little cub. And anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent. But anyway, the bear is awesome, and if you can get a freaking grizzly bear to do, I just feel like, why do we need the bad CGI in the scenes with the dogs? I don't know. I will say, I don't think you can, I guess I don't know, but the rhino thing, I could understand if it's like, guys, I don't know how to train a rhino, so I can't get the rhino to look like it's trying to do what we want it to look like it's trying to do. But you could definitely get a dog, I feel like, to do what you want it to do.
I don't know if this. Well, okay, let me start over. I'll just put it this way: the Game of Thrones direwolves have not haunted my dreams like the white orc from The Hobbit, so I don't think it bothered me as much. But I watched Game of Thrones on a not small TV, but a TV.
Our regular average size television.
Or whatever size, 32-inch. I don't know.
I don't know.
Something television.
It's really important.
Yeah.
But we'll let it go.
But man, just the white orc and all of it's not good.
Apparently, the criteria for whether we like an adaptation or not
is the CGI.
The CGI animals, the CGI make-believe creatures.
But see, the thing is, going back to The Hobbit, I like Martin Freeman a lot. I thought Martin Freeman was a good choice for Bilbo. And then they went and made it 3 movies, which was completely unnecessary. Also, they threw Legolas in there, and it's like, what is Legolas doing here?
Didn't he have a love story or something?
It goes all over the place. It's super. I think it was just weird after the Lord of the Rings movies followed the books so well, with some exceptions. They didn't have Tom Bombadil in there.
And they didn't have, oh man, I always mix them up. They didn't have Saruman, however you say it. They didn't have him come to the Shire
Go to the Shire and burn stuff. Yeah, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Spoilers for Return of the King book. But I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, but then they go and get all creative.
With The Hobbit.
Story-wise with The Hobbit, yeah.
Getting back to Game of Thrones and not just talking about the CGI. So I haven't read the books. You've read the books. I think that the story in the show is fantastic. I think sometimes it's what I don't love about Game of Thrones. I feel like if you've watched the honest trailers for it, they kind of nail it in that because they're so fantastical and they originally were kind of gearing it towards the fans of the books, that in order to attract people's attention who watch HBO but maybe don't normally watch fantasy, they had to have an absurd amount of nudity. And I get that nudity, people, I'm not saying that you can't have nudity in something, that's a different topic. That's not what we're talking about. But okay, there's literally a scene where Littlefinger is scheming and just talking out loud through his bad guy plan while 2 prostitutes practice with one another, pleasing each other, and trying to see how well they can sound pleased and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that probably definitely was in the book. Like, it's
Maybe it helps him think.
yeah. He's like, ladies, let me watch them. It helps me come up with bad guy plans. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not the only scene. That's just an example.
Right.
They also have, what's her name? The one guy's sister. The gray. What are the one guy's sister that he like not. Well, now I'm thinking about there's actually multiple incest because on accident he touches his sister, not knowing it's his sister.
Oh yeah.
That girl. At one point, they're at.
Oh, you're talking about they changed her name from the book to the show. The Greyjoy.
Greyjoys. Thank you.
Girl.
So they're at some town brothel, and she's just got like a naked girl sitting on her lap, and it's like, yeah, that's really important to the story. I just feel like the story's so good that they really don't need that stuff. I feel like that stuff is thrown in there to try and get the attention of somebody who maybe wouldn't normally watch it. And then once they've gotten that person's attention with the nudity, they might draw that person in with the story, and then that person might think like, this is actually kind of interesting. Like, they were originally there for the nudity, and then they actually got kind of swept along. But the story is good enough that I don't think it's needed. I don't think that is. I just think it actually makes it seem kind of cheap. It cheapens it, I guess, in my opinion. In my humble opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, my memory is awful, as I've said, but I don't think the books are as, I hear people say, oh, the books have that too. I'm like, I don't think that's really the same. One, I don't think it's like, I can't remember her name from the book or the show, but I don't think it's like, she had 2 topless women sitting on her lap. I mean, I don't think that's in there. But 2, it's like, you have to use your imagination, if that was in there. It's not the same as like...
Just some naked extras.
Yeah, right. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not necessary. Because it is a good story. A good unfinished story by an old man. who
writes it on his typewriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who is working on like another show right now? I'm like, dude.
Oh, is he?
Come on, man.
Oh.
Yeah.
Can we talk about an adaptation that I've not read the source material, but it's one of my absolute favorites, and I wish there were far more superhero movies and stuff like it. Can you guess what I'm gonna say? I love it so much. You love it too. This definitely made you have a tear.
Logan?
It's so good.
It's so good.
Also, whoever's in the Academy, they need to get the stick out of their butt and they should have nominated the actors in Logan. They should have nominated Hugh Jackman and then Sir Patrick Stewart, thank you. They were so and even the little girl.
Yeah.
They were so amazing. I think there was one Academy nomination or something, but it was for kind of like what we're talking about, some kind of adaptation type thing.
Oh, interesting.
But it wasn't for
best adapted screenplay or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was. I don't think it won though. And but I just feel like the acting was phenomenal. It was so good, and I feel like Hugh Jackman, most of his first lines in, I don't know, the first 5 to 10 minutes of the movie were the F word, basically. But he still acted that one word. He delivered it so well. That movie was amazing. And it is sad. Oh my gosh. It's so good. Also, Sean, he and I went and saw that movie. We saw it in theaters.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we saw it in theaters. Loved it. I'm so glad that Hugh Jackman got to make that movie because we like X-Men. And his solo movies for Logan were always just kind of, they're all right. It's not really our favorites, but Logan was so good. And then we ended up watching that movie later when it came out on DVD. We had my dad watch it with us, and you were having a hard time.
I had something in my eye. that I had to take care of.
My dad's such a tough guy that my husband was like, oh my gosh, I gotta keep it together. I can't have a tear.
Your dad, like a stone cold cowboy, after watching Logan, stood up and said, "That's a good picture." Meanwhile, I'm like,
That was a good show.
yeah.
I think that's what, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he laughed too every time the girl did, like whenever the what's her name?
X-23.
That's what I thought.
Or Laura. You can just call her
Laura.
Yeah.
Whenever she would go into angry mode and just start beating people up, my dad was super entertained. Like, he would laugh. He'd be like, oh, jeez. Like, and, like, that's his reaction. Logan's so good. Does anybody else feel like it's so underrated?
I could watch that every day.
It's so good. Well, I think it would depress me if I watched it every day. But I could, yeah. I mean, dare I say, my favorite of all the super... Wait. There's one other that goes up along with it. But other than that, it's probably my favorite. I'm sure you can... Not just one, a trilogy that goes up there.
The Dark Knight trilogy?
Yes.
Yeah, that was on my list of great adaptations.
What did I write next to mine? I have to look it up. Next to it, Christopher Nolan Batman. Amazing. That's what I wrote in my list. And I had to specify the Christopher Nolan Batman, just to make it clear.
I mean, obviously Heath Ledger is amazing. I don't think that's a surprise, but I feel like the third one doesn't get as much
The third was good.
love as I think it should. I actually really liked the third one.
How would you, as somebody
Tom Hardy
Well, he
does amazing as Bane.
now I'm thinking about that one parody video where he talks about wanting jam or something.
Oh, we're talking about like strawberries.
Those strawberries.
It's like, oh yeah, what does he say? They're packed with fiber.
Yeah. Oh man, I feel like if we'll have to link that video. There's this video. It's some kind of. It's not a bad lip reading, obviously, because he's got the thing on his face. But it's just somebody doing a Bane voice and making up. Instead of his actual lines, they just throw in random other lines. And there's this one part where he's talking about how he likes... What is the food he's even talking about?
Strawberries.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's just talking about strawberries and how they're packed with fiber. It's so ridiculous. I don't even know if the whole clip is that funny. It's just that line. We'll link it anyway if you'd like to see it. But yeah, I agree that I did like the third one a lot. I thought it was really, really good. I actually really liked the first one too. A lot of people are like, first one is boring. I'm like, it was good.
Yeah.
I really liked it. And I liked that they always were rooted in what would it be like in our own world if somebody actually did something like this. Which I don't mind at all the superheroes with superpowers. That's just a different superhero movie. But there's something about the fact that it seems like, I don't want to say realistic because it's obviously it's a stretch, but I don't know. It's kind of it's so grounded in what our societies are like, and I just love them. We need to watch them again.
I know, that's what I was thinking. Like, oh, I should go watch
Have we watched them together, all three of them?
I don't know. Probably not.
We watched them separately. We'll have to watch them together.
I think it's interesting. Heath Ledger's Joker
is the Joker.
It's almost like gone backwards. It's influenced comic books. I think his role.
I was wondering your take on it as someone who's read so many Batman comics.
I mean, there's definitely. I think it's a graphic novel, technically, not a comic book. Excuse me. There's a graphic novel called Joker by Brian Azzarello, I think. And it's very much like Heath Ledger's Joker. I mean, they even draw him pretty much like that.
To look like that.
So yeah, I supposedly there's 2 Joker films in development at DC right now. One with the guy who just did it, Jared Leto, and then another with someone else. And
too soon,
and like. Why do we need 2 Joker movies? I mean, I'm not a person who hopes they're bad. I hope I go to them and I'm blown away. But part of me is like, who was the person who greenlit, like, you know what we need? We need 2 movies about the Joker. It's like, because It's like the Venom movie that's happening. I'm like, well, is Spider-Man going to show up? Because Venom without Spider-Man, that doesn't make sense. It's like, is Batman going to show up in both of the solo Joker movies?
You
like,
kind of need one to have the
yeah.
other.
I don't really care about like Joker's origin.
Since we're on the topic, you know my one.
Yes, I was gonna say your one qualm with Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. Oh, but it's there's okay. Yeah. Anyway, with the third one
is Anne Hathaway's portrayal of
so,
Catwoman.
I shouldn't say her betrayal. It's not like, I mean, okay. So I watched that didn't make sense. I watched the cartoons when I was a kid, and I've seen the Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman, which I feel like is what I imagine Catwoman to be. It's just kind of crazy and stuff, and I just wasn't. Most people probably loved Anne Hathaway. There's nothing wrong with Anne Hathaway. Just the way that Catwoman was shown in that movie was not how I view Catwoman. They kind of gave her too much of a sob story. Part of me's like, doesn't she just like steal stuff and is seductive and a little crazy? And not a little, she's a lot. She's kind of.
I feel like on the scale of like crazy, she's not like Elektra crazy. She's not far away. You know, she's like
pretty bizarre.
She's pretty crazy. Pretty
Speaking
weird.
of Elektra, Daredevil season 1, my favorite of the Marvel Netflix shows. Oh, it's so good.
I agree.
I wrote just Marvel Netflix as one of the things on my list. Because I for sure like the Marvel Netflix more than their movies.
You still like season 1 of Daredevil more than Punisher?
Oh, shoot. I don't know.
I think it's hard. I think for me, I still like Daredevil more.
They're very different. I feel like it's hard to compare.
Yeah, I just feel like the guy who's the Kingpin is so good. But Charlie Cox is great too.
And John Bernthal?
Bernthal, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's so perfect at that role. And okay, if you guys haven't seen Punisher, you should see Punisher. It's so great. You should watch the Punisher show. You should watch the Marvel Netflix shows.
If you're
okay with violence. Yeah. That's kind of what it got. I mean, okay, the first season of Daredevil, I think surprisingly, I would have thought it'd be Punisher that would make me squeamish.
Oh, it's extremely violent. And yeah.
Daredevil?
Yeah.
Like having a guy's head slammed. Yeah. It's okay. Yeah. So the first season of the Marvel Daredevil maybe pushed it a little far with the violence. Like there were so many times I had to like put my hands in front of my face and be like, oh no. Like, but I think there was a couple that I was even like, why is it I wanted it? Where Punisher is only at the very end. I mean, you even, while we were watching Punisher, you're like, can he punish more people?
Yeah, when does he start punishing people?
It was so good, though, and I also really appreciated it in Punisher. Because I personally, I like when shows and movies and stuff reflect our own world, issues that are in our own world, but I don't like when it's one-sided. Because then you're just trying to shove down people's throats like, hey, this is what you should believe. And I don't like that. And I feel like in Punisher, they talk about guns and they don't tell you what you should think. They just show different sides, which I really, really liked. And it fit in that show. It was done really well in that show. And his story arc was great. His acting was great. But what I wanted to say is if you guys have watched the Punisher show, but you've never seen that actor talk in real life, you should watch an interview because it makes me think his acting is even that much better because that's not his real voice. His voice in Punisher is so deep that there were times I'm like, what is he even saying? I can't hear him. But then you hear him talk in real life and he doesn't talk like that. So the fact that even his yelling, he's like, when he gets in rage mode, even that is he's having to think through, I'm going to make my yell match the character voice I've given this whole season. But, I mean, Charlie Cox is super British. Yeah. Right? And you can't tell at all.
And I think he's perfect as Daredevil.
And you've read all these comics, so I have not, obviously. But yeah, I really love Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock. I really like the actress for Jessica Jones. I like the actor for Luke Cage. I enjoyed those two. We both agree that Luke Cage felt like, we'll see, we haven't watched season 2 yet. I keep forgetting it's out. But season 1 felt like they kind of had too much material for one season. If they had just had the antagonist in the first chunk be the entire season, because that was a good antagonist. I didn't really like where they went in the second half of the season.
I've actually heard the second season is the reverse, where the first half is like okay, and then the second half is better. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. I think I'd rather that than the first half be amazing, and then, but then, as much as I love all the Marvel Netflix shows, then there's Iron Fist.
Yeah, Iron Fist was on my bad category.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, okay, I don't know if you guys have watched Iron Fist or not. I feel bad for the actor because I think he's just doing what they want him. He's trying to deliver the lines they give him. But when half your lines are, I'm Danny Rand, it's kind of hard to...
I'm the immortal Iron Fist.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but his name is Danny Rand, and he's the immortal Iron Fist, and he's supposed to take out the hand. He'll let you know in case you forget. In about every episode, maybe multiple times, I'm Danny Rand. And he also is, like, trapped... He's like a boy trapped in a man body. I don't know what... Just because his parents... You know, something sad happened to his parents when he was young, doesn't mean he's forever... How old was he when, like, 12 or 13, whatever age he was? Doesn't mean he's not stunted. Like, he can still become a man, but he's a little boy. I feel like the whole time it kind of drives me crazy.
Bruce Wayne doesn't let go of his parents' dying.
Yeah, but at least he becomes a man. Like,
well, that's true.
He grows up.
You know, they both travel to the east. There's actually a lot of similarities. Yeah. Both learned some kung fu.
I kind of want to watch Iron Fist again and count.
Don't.
No.
Oh.
And count how many times he says,
I'm Danny Rand.
I'm Danny Rand, or I'm Iron Fist. You know, like, I want to count.
That'd be a deadly drinking game.
I will. Well, I was thinking it would be essentially like watching Dragon Wars. Like, we would just, like, you know, those things that say, I'm just here for the comment section. It's like I'm just here for the Danny Rand lines. And to laugh at those.
That's true. You could fast forward any scene that doesn't have Danny Rand in it.
Yeah, they doesn't have the actor in it. That's true. Oh, and the girl's annoying. Okay, wait. Whenever they go into the Defenders, I actually liked Danny Rand more in the Defenders because they kind of made fun of him, which I loved.
Right.
And they were like, dude, we're all grown-ups here. What's your problem? And I liked the relationship between him and Luke Cage a lot. But, oh my gosh, what's her name? Claire the nurse? Mm-hmm. She's a nurse. I don't know why they decided in Iron Fist that, even though she's a nurse, like, we're going to make her fight these awesome ninjas. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, she can't defend herself against them, please. And then, what's her name that Danny Rand's love interest... Colleen?
Yes. Super
annoying in the show. And the thing is, like, Jessica Jones kicks butt. And, like, I just don't understand. They're like, these other actresses in the show, like, let's have them join in. It's like, no, they get in the way. They get them out. Oh, and speaking of getting in the way, for somebody who's constantly bragging about being the Iron Fist, he, like, never used the Iron Fist.
I know.
He couldn't summon his chi.
It was shy, yeah. Speaking of people in the way, again, my favorite character from Jessica Jones is by far Trish.
Oh, Trish.
I do not like Trish. She's very annoying.
Does anyone...
We don't need to talk about my Trish dislike.
I think she's not even a character you love to hate. I just hate her character. I was going to say, does anyone like Trish? But I remember reading she's so much worse in season 2.
She is.
I remember reading some lady's blog post about how Trish is such an independent woman. And it was like her journey and like, and I'm like, what? She's the worst. She's legitimately the worst. If anybody wants to model themselves after Trish, please don't. Like, she's...
Just like not listening to your friends at all or like... deciding things for them. Yeah, probably.
And when they save you, telling them that...
I didn't need saving.
Well, no, when she tells them, like... She just... Okay, it's not a spoiler to say Jessica saves her, right? Jessica saves her. And then she'll be like, you waste it. You just waste it. Or whatever she's... And what does she say? It's worse than that. There's the one scene where she tells her she's she's a coward or something. She's like, you're such a coward or something ridiculous. And Jessica's like, what? Like, I really wanted Jessica to be like, peace out, Trish, you suck. Like, that's what I wanted to happen. Why are they even friends? Why is she still talking to her?
I'm going to take this in a different direction. I think maybe you might have this on your list, but I'm going to go for it.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Is it a video game?
Maybe.
Wolf Among Us?
Yes.
Yes!
A Wolf Among Us is the television adaptation of Fables that I'll never get.
Well,
but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
Because...
So it's... Do you want to
it's
explain?
so good. Okay, so
for
Wolf
anybody
Among Us is a Telltale game. So you get to... It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure in the form of a video game. And it's based off of Bill Willingham's Fables, his comic book series.
Which I've actually read some of.
And it is so good.
It's so good.
It's, I mean...
It's a lot of
what is
language.
this? It's like a murder mystery, right? But it's a prequel. It comes before the main
the
Fable
hooker
series. But
is her head.
yeah.
Yeah, so...
Anyways, it's like so profane.
Well, and I
love
remember,
it.
because we played it at our apartment, and you can... Sometimes if other people had the TV on loud in their apartment, you could kind of hear. And I remember when we were first playing that game, they were shouting the F word so much. I was like, oh, shoot. Because there's, like, you know, kids around or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like, So, but if you are old enough to play the game and you have parent permission, if you're not, it's so good. Oh, my gosh. It's so
Cannot recommend it enough.
Big boy. What's his name? The
little toad.
Toad. It was just Toad.
Yeah, I think
It was just Toad. And then Colin, the pig.
Colin the pig. Yeah.
Who's the really cute? Okay, wait. So, it's Toad's son. I was thinking of a second. Okay, so in this game, Big B's kind of a tough guy character.
Also a wolf man.
Yeah, and so he's kind of disheveled, and even when he's being nice, he kind of doesn't always come across the nicest. But they give you really mean dialogue options sometimes. And the first time we were playing it through, we're like, oh, that's mean, don't pick that. You know, like we were trying to pick what's the nicest, like, because we're nice, so we wanted things to go well. And then after we played it that way, we were like, let's play it again, but literally pick the meanest dialogue options. And that was hilarious. But neither of us could pick the really, really mean dialogue option to Toad's son. There's like a little boy.
Oh, yeah. Is it the one at the very end?
Where he wants to show Snow.
Yeah.
And like one of the options can be like, that's a stupid gift or
Yeah.
something. So the little boy wants to give Snow White as a character in the story. And the little boy wants to give Snow White this
Like a bug.
It's from his bug collection. It's one of those like it's like it's in
like in a glass case.
Yeah, it's in a case. And he's like, I thought she would like this one. She said it was her favorite. And one of the dialogue options is like, that's a stupid gift she'll hate, or something like really mean. And we couldn't do it. It's like it's not even a real person.
There's always time. We can play it again.
Well, we'll play it again. Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, since we're on the topic of video games, I feel like I have held back in talking about my favorite adaptation ever. What could it possibly be? How long are you gonna...
Halo. Witcher.
Yes, Witcher. Oh my gosh. I mean, I probably don't even really need to talk about it, because I've already talked about it. I mean, I talk about it a lot.
I have not read the books.
Or played all the game.
But gosh darn it, that voice actor who does Geralt.
Doug Kokel or something, I think.
Sure. He does such a great job.
By the way, guys.
Like, I wish he would just, like...
Can he just be Geralt?
I don't know. I mean, I know, like, they're obviously doing a live action thing, but if they'd done, like, an animated series, I would have watched that.
Oh, yeah.
Watched it.
I mean, when they just first announced that they were gonna do a Netflix show, and nobody knew for sure whether it was gonna be... Well, I mean, I think they said it pretty quickly, but initially, when it was kind of like, wait, what? I was so down for if they had done just... Because because the trailers for the game, which I have watched many times, are so amazing. They're so good. If you guys haven't watched the trailers for the Witcher games, go do yourself a favor. I'll link them down below. I'll probably watch them a few times too because they're just so great. But they're so good.
They're so very cool. Yeah.
They're so good. And they're visually really fantastic.
Yeah, they're nice, yeah.
Oh man, now I'm just hearing him go, I'm killing monsters. Oh, it's so good. Oh my gosh, it's so good. But yeah, I would have been really down for that. And then yeah, they could have used all the same voice actors and I think that would have been really cool. I hope the Netflix show is amazing. I'm just gonna let myself be excited for it. Some people are like, it's probably gonna suck. I'm like, whatever. I just want to let me be happy. Like, if it does suck, then it'll suck, and I'll be sad then. I don't want to be sad leading up to it. I want to be excited.
Yeah, like I feel like, I don't know, you shouldn't go into something expecting it to be
awful,
bad. Although I've been burned before where I've had really high expectations. And
Batman vs Superman,
which is on my list actually.
It's on my list too.
So
I put director's cut.
Yeah, I put extended cut. Yeah, same thing. The theatrical one was pretty not great.
No.
The extended cut definitely redeemed it for me in a lot of ways. I can't undo
the Martha
that or Jesse Eisenberg, right? As Lex Luthor. I thought that was a weird choice, but honestly, like, it's not as bad as I think people make it out to be. And I'm just going to talk about 3 things here.
Yep, let's do it.
So all Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
They're not that bad. Like, I didn't think Batman vs Superman, the extended cut, is pretty good.
No, I don't mean to be a total brat.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there? I think there's a difference. Is there a difference between the extended cut and the director's cut?
I don't know. Oh, okay, director's cut. Whichever one I've seen.
Whichever one is the. I'm only saying that because whichever one is, I think, like the longest.
Yeah, that one's good.
That one we actually did enjoy. It makes way more sense.
Yeah. So I like that. Man of Steel is not bad. I don't like everyone hates on Man of Steel. I actually really like that movie.
I would even go as far as say beyond just not bad. It was good.
It's good. I
liked it.
Whenever people are like, "Oh, he kills Zod," I'm like, "Yeah, what do you do with the alien destroying like Metropolis?" Anywho, and thirdly, Watchmen is pretty darn good as far as adapting Watchmen.
So I haven't seen it. I can't really comment, but you can. I mean, what you've said is people expected it, right? People expected it to be a superhero action-packed movie.
Yeah. So okay. So I do want to see the director's cut of that actually, because that exists.
We should watch it.
I would like to see that.
I want to see
my couple things is there are a couple times where it seems like the characters have superpowers when they don't. Like, there's some action scenes where you're like, I don't think a normal person could actually do that. My other thing with it is there's so many shots literally from the comic book, and it's great that it is kind of weird when... And the comic book is already incredibly violent. There's some times where the movie is like 10 times more violent.
Oh, so they try to.
So like there's 2 scenes in particular where it's like that was so unnecessary. Like, I'm not sure why they chose to do that. But aside from that, I feel like it's the best
they could have done.
I mean, unless you make it a 4-hour movie,
right?
Which I think they're not going to get it 4 hours, but it is longer, the director's cut one. But
now, I want to bring up one that I know you love the comics, but the movie was garbage.
Okay, what is it?
I mean, I feel no one likes it. I shouldn't say no one. No one I've ever met liked it. And you have a lot of the comics for it.
Oh, Green Lantern.
Yeah.
This is my second Green Lantern mention.
I guess at least Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got married in real life at some point. I guess that's nice. For them.
So okay. First of all, I saw Green Lantern before reading Green Lantern comics. Looking back on the movie,
is it not as bad as you actually?
Well, they were ambitious. So I actually think it's still not a good movie.
They started with a weird bad guy.
Yeah, they started with Parallax, who is a cool bad guy, but an odd one to start with. But they had Parallax. They introduced Sinestro. I think it's still really not good, but they had like elements of goodness in there. I don't know. It's interesting.
The world wasn't ready, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Also,
yeah.
Parallax sounds like some kind of thing you take
Digestive.
for heartburn or
Yeah.
going to the bathroom.
Like, I need to take some Parallax.
After I eat those burritos.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is what it sounds like. Do you have others on your... I wrote so many. Oh, I've got... Okay.
We've kind of hit all of mine.
I've got a couple I want to mention just because so many people... we disagree with what I would say the general population thinks, which is Thor Ragnarok and the second Guardians movie. We weren't fans.
Not my favorite.
Yeah, I think we're in the minority there. Just because, well, you can, I mean...
Well, I was watching something the other day where they're like, yeah, I love Thor Ragnarok because there's so many quips. And I was like, man, if that's your thing, that's your thing. I mean, to be honest, none of the Thor movies are that good to me.
No,
I
I don't
mean,
think
so I
so
guess
either.
Ragnarok gets a bonus point for being different or trying to be different, but it was weird. It was a weird, very serious Hulk storyline from the comics that they made into a family comedy. Like,
That's the thing.
It kind of weirded me out.
Well, and I feel like the trailer for the movie looked so awesome,
Yeah.
and it kind of is so campy.
Yeah.
It really just felt like some of the humor was for kids. And like what did they call it? Like the devil's butthole or something.
Yeah, like
That's not what it was called.
Yeah.
Something. It might as well have been the devil's butthole. I feel it was, or like the scene where he throws that ball and it comes back and hits him in the face or whatever it was. And like that's like stuff that you would see in a kid movie.
Right.
Because it's Disney.
Yeah, and then Guardians 2 kind of felt the same way. Maybe
Yeah,
trying too hard with the jokes.
it did, because the first Guardians kind of took everybody by surprise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Marvel's always had the little quips here and there, but it was never overkill to me
Until those two.
Yeah, because I think Guardians was more silly and ridiculous than what they normally did, and it was such a success, and everybody loved it so much that then they decided to take that and times 1,000.
Right.
And I wasn't a fan. I liked the level of humor they had before. I don't know that I needed a giant Pac-Man thing.
No.
In like
No.
a kind of serious moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those two weren't my favorite. Infinity War, I look forward to watching again. I liked Infinity War.
I certainly liked it more than Civil War.
Yeah.
Like, Civil War, nobody got hurt. I mean, okay, the one guy fell. Okay, the one guy fell from the sky. And he was a little hurt.
I don't remember who that is.
Iron Man's buddy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the
Shoot.
trailer,
Yeah,
I was
you're right.
like, oh, is he
Yeah.
gonna die? I mean,
And then
maybe
he's
that's
like-
just maybe that's just because we're morbid and we love when people die
Just
in
got a
movies.
boo-boo.
And yeah, it was just like, oh, I'm hurt. I mean, okay, so of the Marvel movies, my favorites, I would say, not including like the giant mashups, I would say my favorites were Doctor Strange, Winter Soldier, and the first Iron Man. I think those were my favorites. It's hard for me to say Spider-Man because Spider-Man was good, but I didn't like it that much.
Yeah,
It was okay.
it was all right.
And then as far as the DC movies, we thought Superman was pretty good, but I mean Justice League was okay. I don't hate it as much as everyone else did. I don't even hate it. I just thought it was entertaining. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything on my list.
Yep, my list is done too. I just want to give another. Zack Snyder's not bad. Leave him alone.
Be nice to Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Witcher's awesome. So is Logan. They're the best.